we're about to pull back the curtain on one of the most powerful and invisible forces in our lives: conflict. You see, we all think we choose our battles, but what if the battle has a system for choosing us? Today, we're not just talking about arguments, we are mapping the hidden architecture that actually controls them. This is the master key to understanding why disagreements spiral out of control, and more importantly, how you can reclaim your power by seeing the system for what it is. Just let that sink in for a moment. It's a really profound idea because it gets to the very heart of the paradox of any conflict. We walk into an argument thinking we're in the driver's seat, making rational choices to defend our point, but the truth is, a hidden system, this escalation ladder, it takes over. And our very attempt to win the argument, to finish it, becomes the fuel that pushes us higher and higher up that ladder and further away from any real solution. So, here's our game plan. First, we're going to look at the physics of conflict itself, what we call mechanical momentum. Then, we'll diagnose the real-world damage in the entrenchment trap. After that, we'll pull out the map and chart the 4 zones of the climb. Then we'll get into the psychology, the engine driving it all, in the pride trap. And finally, the most important part, we'll talk about how to dismantle this machine and take back control. Okay, section 1. Let's get one thing straight from the start. A real conflict isn't just a simple clash of ideas. It's a system with its own gravity, its own physics. And we call this mechanical momentum. It's that force that just pulls you in and pulls you up, often completely against your better judgment. You know the feeling. A simple correction turns into a debate, and that debate suddenly becomes a personal standoff. It feels like you're choosing your moves, but really, you're just reacting to the momentum of the system itself. And this really gets to the core of it. The ladder isn't built by the other person. No, it's built by both of you. And it's your own ego, that deep-seated need to be right, to win, that provides the energy for the climb. Every defensive comment, every attempt to get the last word in, that's another rung on the ladder. The very act of trying to end the fight on your terms is the one thing that keeps it going.
So let's talk about the consequences, because this isn't just some abstract theory. This is about the real, tangible costs of getting caught in this climb. This is what we call the entrenchment trap, where the pursuit of winning leads to a devastating series of losses in the things that actually matter: your focus, your reputation, and your strategic control.
We have all seen this happen. Heck, we've probably all lived it. A tiny issue about a project deadline, it should be a 5-minute chat, right? But instead, it just festers. It gets personal. And before you know it, it's turned into a 3-month-long Cold War of passive aggression, of CCing bosses on emails and whispering in the hallways. This whole process is where you, the executive of your own life, you lose control. The argument starts managing you. Experts actually have a name for this: the erosion of executive sovereignty. Now, what's really fascinating here is how this breaks down that loss of control. Let's just spend a moment on each. First up, you get strategic tunnel vision. The original goal, the project, the deadline is completely gone. All that matters now is winning this petty grudge match. Then comes status self-sabotage. You start doing things that actively damage your professional standing, like firing off that angry email, all to protect your pride in the moment. Then you're caught in a structural conflict. Your daily actions aren't guided by our goals anymore. They're dictated by the fight. And this last one, this is the real kicker. Logic gets completely thrown out the window in exchange for the emotional hit of feeling vindicated.
So if this is a system, it's gotta have predictable stages, right? And it does. Let's shift gears now into a more analytical mode and actually map out the climb. Understanding these 4 distinct zones is the first step to seeing the ladder for what it is. And, more importantly, finding the exits before it's way too late. This isn't just random chaos. It's a predictable, almost mechanical progression.
Now, before we lay out the whole map, we have to talk about one of the most dangerous turning points. It's called coalition building. This is the leverage point where the whole conflict metastasizes. It's that moment you stop talking to the other person and you start talking about them. You pull a coworker aside and you're like, "Can you believe what they just did?" You're not looking for a solution anymore. You're recruiting an army. The goal has shifted from fixing the problem to proving you're right and winning the court of public opinion. This is where the trap truly snapshot.
Okay, here's the map itself. Step 1 is the problem phase. This is actually healthy. It's rational friction. We disagree on the facts of the deadline, but we're still talking to each other, trying to solve it. But then we cross a line. We climb to step 2, the person phase. Suddenly, it's not about the deadline, it's about them, their laziness, their incompetence. This is where we start building those coalitions we just talked about. From there, it's a very short, very dangerous climb to step 3, the aggression phase.
Threats are made. If you miss this deadline, I am going straight to the director. This is not about solving anything, it's about forcing them to submit. And that leads to the final, destructive step. Step 4, the abyss. This is total war. You don't even care about your own job anymore, as long as they lose theirs too. This is mutually assured destruction, where the only thing left is the grudge.
I mean, this map is terrifyingly logical, isn't it? Which brings us to the most important question of all. Why? Why do we do it? If we can see the abyss waiting at the top of the ladder, why do we keep climbing, rung by painful rung? Well, the answer isn't in logic, it's in our biology. We have to understand the psychological engine that powers this entire machine.
So the main driver here is something called consistency bias. Our brains are hardwired to hate being inconsistent. They crave a story that makes sense. So if you made a slightly aggressive comment yesterday, your brain feels this intense pressure to justify that action. And how does it justify it? By convincing you that you need to be even more aggressive today. It's basically the sunk cost fallacy applied to your own pride. You feel like you have to keep investing in the fight to prove to yourself that your initial investment of aggression wasn't a mistake in the first place.
And this psychological glitch, this is what pours fuel on that fire. It's called the actor-observer bias. When we act, we judge ourselves based on our intentions. I'm not attacking, I'm just defending my position. I had to raise my voice just to be heard. But when we see someone else do the exact same thing, we judge them purely by their actions. They are being so hostile. They're attacking me. We see our own moves as totally justified reactions, but we see their identical moves as unprovoked aggression. This bias ensures that both people feel like the victim, and both feel completely justified in climbing that ladder.
So here's the bottom line. When you're on that ladder, you get trapped by something called cognitive narrowing. Your brain's threat response system literally takes over. Your peripheral vision for solutions just vanishes. You can't see options like compromise or clarification or even just walking away. The only exit your brain can compute is victory. You're not fighting another person anymore. You are fighting your own biology's primal, stubborn refusal to admit it might have made a mistake.
But this is where we turn the tables, because understanding the machine is the first step to disabling it. We can move from being a combatant just pulled along by the system's momentum to being an auditor who sees the system for what it is. So let's get into the actual strategic countermoves you can use to break this cycle and reclaim your executive sovereignty.
This is the only question that matters, really. It's not about learning how to fight better. It's about learning to see the fight for what it is. So how do you stop the climb when your own biology and the person across from you are both screaming for more escalation? Well, it requires a deliberate, conscious shift in your perspective. And here are the tools to actually do. The first and honestly the most powerful countermove is to simply label the rung. The moment you feel that hot emotional urge to CC the boss, to start gossiping, to attack their character, just stop. And in your own head, name what's happening. Say to yourself, okay, I'm feeling the urge to build a coalition. I am entering the person phase. This simple act of observation, of labeling, it's like a neurological magic trick. It pulls the activity out of your emotional brain and re-engages your logical prefrontal cortex. You stop being a passenger on this ride and you become the pilot again.
Okay, the next tactic is beautifully counterintuitive. Build them a golden bridge. Instead of trying to corner your opponent and prove them wrong, you actually make it easy for them to back down without looking weak. Offer a small public concession. You could say something like, you know what, you were right about that one detail on the report. My mistake, I should have caught that. By giving them a way to save face, you dramatically lower their cost of retreat. They don't have to double down just to protect their pride anymore, which short circuits that entire threat cycle. If you feel the conversation drifting into that danger zone, the person phase, into attacks on character or motives, you need to perform an informational reset. You deliberately and forcefully steer the conversation back to the neutral ground of rung 1. You say, hang on, let's forget about who said what for a second. Can we just agree on the objective facts? What is the actual current status of the project? This disrupts the personalization loop and basically starves the conflict of the emotional fuel it needs to survive.
And finally, there's the ultimate power move, strategic disengagement. If the other person has gone all the way to the abyss, if they're issuing threats, yelling, trying to burn everything down, the absolute worst thing you can do is mirror their energy. Instead, you have to hold your steady state baseline. Remain calm, speak evenly, refuse to provide the friction they need to keep climbing. A fire cannot burn without oxygen, and an argument cannot escalate without a second willing participant. By refusing to engage at that level, you force the entire system to collapse on its. So, the crucial point, the single most important thing to take away from all of this is this.
The winner in a power struggle is almost never the one left standing at the top of a burning ladder. The true winner is the person who recognized they were on a ladder in the first place and had the wisdom to choose an exit. Your power doesn't come from winning the fight. It comes from understanding the fight so well that you don't even have to participate. Don't just fight for the win, audit the ladder.